This is this lucky number 13?
It's lucky number 13, yeah.
Oh boy. Isn't it is it Chinese where they don't they would call this number 14, right? They would just skip it, right? Or something like that.
Really?
I think I thought I saw a little discussion about how they don't. I don't remember what culture it was where it's like elevators don't have certain numbers. They just skip over certain numbers because they're, I guess, or maybe the character for 13 looks like death or something in
Oh,
Chinese,
really?
or maybe it's Korean. I don't remember exactly. Um, but anyway,
Huh. I
hmm.
did not know that.
The Coffee Talk podcast number 13.
Number 13.
We're not afraid.
We're not afraid.
Um, no, but hello,
Hello.
hello, and welcome. Hello, welcome to everyone who's joining us for this um, funeral. Probably the we're having a wake, right, for the death of Energy Shield and Vaal Pact and Path of Exile and Xbox and the world, and it's all coming down. And have you heard the tragedy of Energy Shield the Wise? Sorry,
Yeah.
that's just, I know. So what do you so do you want to tell people what exactly happened, Noogie, and then what your thoughts are on it? Because I have my thoughts, but I kind of want to hear yours first, so I can.
You want to hear my first?
Yeah, I
Well,
wanted
let
you
me
to go
actually
first.
draw up the. Give me a second here. So, well, let's just get it started. So, first of all, they have announced the preliminary changes to Energy Shield
Right.
and Life, the changes they have for that. And so, let's see. So, basically, Energy Shield was in a state that it was by many considered overpowered. It was considered the end game, like the only way to build an end game character in the game, pretty much. Like if you
Right.
played anything else, you felt like you were almost at a disadvantage. And
Right.
so they have decided to bring that back to where ES is no longer like the de facto end game build for everyone.
Right.
Some of the things they're going to change is, I believe it's a 33% decrease in base energy shield on items. Like a Vaal Regalia will have 33% less with perfect rolls or something like that.
Yeah.
Not entirely sure how that's going to roll out. Chevrons is getting nerfed by like 100 ES. They're removing.
The picture they have is 448 to 351 on the.
Yeah, and I think they showed a perfect roll on both.
Oh, were those is 150 perfect and 200
Yes.
perfect? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. If you look at all the rolls on both items, every single roll is perfect. So I'm assuming that these are a comparison between two perfect rolls in current and the and 3.0.
Right.
Yeah, Discipline is gonna get a nerf as well, and Elrion mods are gonna get a nerf, and there's no longer gonna be a multiplier to Energy Shield. So there's like massive nerfs across the board, to where the maximum amount of Energy Shield is going to be lower.
Right.
But also they're increasing the stuff like Energy Shield recharge rate. So you recharge, like it's gonna recharge faster. Vaal Pact is no longer going to work with Energy Shield, like Ghost Reaver. So they will only be exclusive for life.
And they took ETUP's idea, by the way, right?
Yeah. So on the life part, they took ETUP's idea. So now we will have hybrid rolls for life gear.
Right. Right.
And that's basically that's what's changing so far.
Yeah. I mean, now, before we get too nuts and bolts, I mean, I saw some people talk about it too. The thing that sort of blew me away a little bit is they were talking about somebody with 25,000 ES. And I wanted to be like, I don't remember ever seeing somebody with that much ES that was not using the Guardian, like, RF build.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I mean, now maybe it's because it's just so not needed. So people just stop stacking ES at some point, like get to 15,000 and then whatever. You can't get one shot anymore, I guess. So I mean, I'm definitely not as familiar with ES builds as other builds, but I did make the ES God, holy crap, what's the purple What's the dot thing you fire? You fire the purple thing, and it spreads contagion everywhere. What the
Oh,
hell?
ED.
ED.
Yeah,
Thank you. Holy crap.
yeah, that definitely they had like 20,000.
Okay, yeah, but this is what I'm saying though. Like 16. I think I had 16
I
KES
think
or 16 KES. You know.
I think it's the wrong place to focus though. Everyone, like a lot of people have been super angry about the post, and especially because they use the example of 25, and so they assume that every single change after that is based on this one outlier, and because it's this one outlier, well then they are like super off base and they don't understand the community, they don't even understand the game, because the only thing that's being stated here is that we've seen characters reaching over 25, right? We've seen them reaching over 25.
Right.
All it says is just that somewhere in PoE, it's been noticed that there are certain builds that are reaching this. This is nowhere are they saying that it's the average.
Sure.
I think,
but isn't that the problem though? Where it's like, but the example they're picking up is based on an ascendancy, right?
I think people are overreaching and taking that and then going all crazy about how they don't understand how to balance. Because they take like this one example and they're basically they're measuring the entire in the entire post after, like, just on that.
Sure.
I think the comparison between the 25 and the 9k life is bad.
Well, for sure, because to get 9k life,
it's not that difficult. No, but it's I think it requires around the same amount. I don't know. It depends on the build you're doing. 9k life is not that difficult to get.
I'm curious. I'm gonna log in right now. So my level 91. So I have 7,370 life.
Yeah.
I guess I don't have a shield on, but I have combs. I have almost everything has perfect life on it, and including I have a bunch of pieces that have strength, and I mean, so yeah, I'm a little, but I mean,
okay,
if
so
I fixed everything,
okay, so yeah,
I mean, it's just when I hear 9,000, and I'm heavily invested in life in my tree. Like,
what kind of build are you though?
I'm an ancestral totem build.
Okay, so you have to invest a lot into weapon nodes. Right, the same thing with an energy character that invests a lot into energy node might cap out at like 20 and not 25, and you cap out at 8 and not 9.
Yeah, but I do. But okay, so all right. I mean, I don't like to be the person who picks apart examples because they're just trying to illustrate what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like I really have not seen. I mean, when somebody gets 9k, like, wasn't there? I guess there was somebody posted on Reddit. They were like 97, same build as me, 2-hand build, and they had 10k life. They had 10k life on that character, and it's like, okay, they're wearing Combs boots, they're wearing Combs chest, and then I'm assuming they have one more wheel of life than I do, and every piece has max life, max strength, whatever. But it's like that character, I don't know. I feel like it'd be better for them to say something more along the lines of see if they gave a range. So it was like, okay, we've seen 25, because what I like about it is they say 25,000. If they were like the top character we've seen, let's say discounting something stupid where your only objective is to get ES, is 25,000 on average. Characters that kill Shaper or whatever have 17,000 life, and so, or 17,000, yes, and they did the same thing for life. The top we've seen is 10,000 life, so okay, but the average life of characters that are doing end-game content is 6,800 or 7,001. You know what I mean? Something along those lines.
Yeah, like these are both extremes. They're just showcasing like the extremes of both instances, and where one is 25 and the other is 9, well, then the 25 is. It's definitely the outlier here. The 9 is not the outlier. The 25 is. Like, I think the important thing to note here is just the fact that players are getting 25,000.
Right.
Where the average build on life is between 5 and 7, which is so you're getting 5 times the life. I think that's where you want to focus your attention. You want to focus on the issue and not the one bad example they have on the post.
Right. Yeah, okay. I still come back to, aren't a lot of the ES gains primarily due to ascendancies?
No.
The way, I mean, I thought that several of the ascendancies gave 15% energy shield, just on the way. Like, so they're just free.
Okay.
Free 60%, free another
Sure,
60.
you get
what
some,
I mean, that's a lot
you
of.
get
It ends
flat
up being
percentage.
a lot.
Yeah, and then you get the 2 ring rolls, for instance. Huge issue.
Right.
You get
Huge issue. Right.
okay.
Right.
Let's talk about the base items, which is the Vaal Regalia, giving you 900 ES on a piece. That's almost twice as much as a Comb's Heart.
Yeah, but it used to be 1082 or 1088 was the max roll.
Yeah, that's yeah. That doesn't make the 950 even better in any way.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I'm illustrating that the base sort of flat life on gear, besides the ring roll, right, and then ascendancies, has more or less remained the same. We've just, I don't know, like that's the thing. So okay, the travel points in an ascendancy tree that gives you ES or flat ES or whatever's going on in several of those trees. That's like, to me, it's like it's the same thing. The tree itself, the base tree that we've known for years and years, there's a balance because, okay, if you want to get, I'm looking at it, if you want to get foresight, which is the flat ES and 14% ES, yeah, in the middle, above which, or sorry, below which, you have to travel there.
Sure.
So that's 7 points or whatever. Versus just picking up ascendancy, you're going to have 45 or 60%.
No, that's way over exaggerating. It's like 8 4 times or something.
Okay.
So you get maybe you get like, if you have all 4, you get, what is that, 36? No, 32. In the best case scenario, that's occultist, I think.
Right, 888. Okay.
Yeah, that is the best case scenario, and obviously that helps.
And then 100 flat too, I guess, if you get Wicked Ward. I don't know if people pick that.
Yeah. No, it adds. Those ascendancies definitely add a lot to that play style.
I'm just saying because they're free, right? That's sort of what.
Well, they're not free.
Well,
you're not getting damage. You're not getting resist. You're not getting cast speed. You're not getting attack speed. Like, they're things you're not getting.
You mean in the ascendancy trees by picking that class? That's what I'm talking about. This is what I mean. In the tree itself, there's a trade-off, right? There's a
No, but there's also a trade-off in the ascendancy, because you could pick something else that doesn't give you ES, that gives you something else.
You're talking about you're picking a different ascendancy.
Yeah,
is what you're saying. Okay, that's fine. I still come back to that there are a lot of free. They're just, I don't know, these free, to make the nodes interesting. They just. Okay, again, because there's no to me there's no trade-off.
Okay,
there is zero trade-off in this instance. So that's sort
yes. I can follow your point there, but what is the issue with that? That there is energy shield on the, in terms of the energy shield changes.
You're saying for right now or for 3.0?
No, for 3.0.
Well, I'm just saying the reason we've reached this state where things got completely out of control is because we have so many different areas that add, with, again, no trade-off. Like,
I think you take away ascendancy and it, you still have the underlying issue is not the ascendancy here.
No. I'm not saying that it is. Okay. I'm just saying you see it as an example of where, I mean, so we've added since really the game became fleshed out, which let's just say it's 1.1, 1.2, I don't know, somewhere in there. Where we got sort of end game a lot and had people playing both types of builds, life and ES. We've seen almost no change in the life builds that exist.
Yes,
like you're basically at 6,000 to 7,000 life.
Yes,
regardless of what's going on.
Now, minor changes, but yeah, very minor. Yeah.
Very minor, and it basically remains stagnant. At one point, you had 1,000 life combs. I get that, and those characters got. I mean, yes, some characters back then, because of how dense the life and the strength was on the Marauder tree, could get 400% life, and they had 10,000 life. Yes. That's still what we're hitting right now. Versus, almost every step of the way, they've added this incremental, like, just step up the ladder. That's all I mean.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree. Ascendancy was one of the more one of the larger steps against this huge ES pool we're seeing in some characters. Yeah, for sure.
Right. Anyway, so I don't mean to derail it. I'm just mean it's you know the thing is, would we still be having this discussion if there were 2 ascendancy trees that gave you 500 base life or 1,000 base life on
I
them?
think so. Yes.
Okay.
We would still, yeah, because but then life might also be an issue.
Yeah,
right.
That's entirely possible.
But yeah, but because I think then you just end up in a point where you have just this one ascendancy with life that's absurd, and where you, the same thing occurs. I don't think it would occur in the same way, because even with that, maybe the life bill goes to 10, and you still have the 20.
Right. But I'm just sort of illustrating though that it seems to be the problem is there's this internal desire to treat ES like armor and evasion, right? Because there is like, because if I look over here, is it Juggernaut that has them? Okay, that has armor. And then there's got to be a ranger tree. I don't know what it is offhand that has evasion as that's attack damage. Yeah, evasion. It's the Pathfinder, or no? Which one's this one? I don't remember. I don't want to say. Is it? No, it's Raider. That's what it is.
Yeah,
Raider is the one that has all sorts of evasion. So like they've clearly made a pure tree of each of those, but yet the ES one somehow affects a life pool. It's just so interesting. And I remember a long time ago when these discussions came around again, because it seems like we were having the same problems. People were like, yeah, but if you make it like life, then it's just a different version of life.
But it's always been like life.
Yeah, but it's always been like life. So what do you, so I mean, what do you think about that? Like,
okay, so on that, I think it's like, it's just an old remnant of their desire of having like this. The initial idea of defense was like it was life, and then you could have like this other defensive layer being armor, evasion, or energy shield, and then we have the special snowflake CI over here where you could actually spec into it and make it your main defense. And it was never intended to be that. And then it kind of like evolved into it. But a lot of the initial ideas of how to, like how you, like say for occultists, for instance, right? You give them ES as nodes on the tree, and we get armor somewhere else or evasion somewhere else, where that the way that they add roles into the game is still in the same mindset of, well, we have this idea that it's an additional layer to defense and not its own.
Right.
And I think that they've just never really gotten rid of that idea, even though
also the scalability, right? Because every point of armor and evasion you get is worse, right? Which, that's the think about it. Versus every point of ES you get is just better. It gets better and better because whatever way you, especially the way the game's designed now, however you do your tree, either you have a huge pool, in which case you can absorb a bunch of damage, or the more you get, the better your Zealot's Oath is, the better your Leech is, because it's based on a percentage of your life pool, of your rate, or your damage, whatever. So it's like, it's interesting how I agree with what you're saying, but yet it doesn't function the same way. Imagine if every percentage of ES you got gave you less ES. I mean, that'd be a way to balance it. But I don't see them doing that, because they say, well, then life is better. Well, okay, it's not, but as we can see, it's not, because you didn't do a balance like that. So I don't know. It's interesting. It just seems like they've added so many tools to the game that, what are the downs? This is the part that I got back to a long time ago. What is the downside to ES? That you can't use pots, right? And pots were kind of bad. Well, they gave us a whole bunch of. That was one of them, and then there was no Ghost Reaver. I don't remember when Ghost Reaver came in. I feel like that was.
Was that with the claw or something, or?
Yeah, was that a one of those like Mind Over Matter? Let's see, Ghost Reaver. I'm gonna look right now.
Could be.
Keist. Of course, it doesn't say when it was added. How do I? Category Keystone Passive Skills. It doesn't. So unfortunately, the wiki does not say. I don't think it was on there but it might have been. It might have been on there forever. But I don't know. It just didn't seem like it was as big a problem until sometime in the after release of the game, in between 1 and 2. version 1 and 2 is
Yeah.
when they started to get these things, and then Acuities came out and all this stuff. I don't know. It feels like the traditional things where you would be like, well, there's a downside here. Those downsides are gone. And I guess they're going to, it's interesting.
So they're reintroducing those though, right?
Yes.
To some extent.
It seems like that. I mean, what do you think?
Well, like, actually, first off, I would like to like clarify our positions here. Do you agree, or do you are you in favor of the changes that are being introduced?
Well, yes. I think there's clearly there's a problem.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what the answer should be. I mean, my problem with it is I personally have not played ES that much.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I really think that that ED character I made last league, which was kind of my...
You kind of did play ES though on this league to 100. I know it's not CI, but you had a huge layer of ES on top.
Yeah. Oh yeah, huge layer, but way more than my life. So,
yeah, exactly.
5,800 to 4,000 life or something like that.
Yeah.
No. But it's see, that's so interesting. That character that the golem character that was hybrid, to me, that's actually the way they... Okay, let me okay. If they had an ideal example of what they want ES to be, my character is amongst those characters. Not because I designed it so well or anything. I'm just saying.
No. Yeah.
Where I don't take advantage of any of the broken things. I just have kind of a high...
You kind of did though, because the amount of energy shield you got, because you got around what? How much did you get on energy shield?
6,000 or 5,800 or so.
Okay, maybe it's not too much.
No.
It's still a large portion though when you compare it.
It's a lot because I think I got 100% life and 120% ES, something like that. I can even tell you right because I've got Path of Building open here. I'm gonna look it up here. And so it's like, here we go. Increased life from tree 140%. Increased energy shield from 189%. So, and then now don't forget I'm wearing a chest that gives you what is equivalent. Well, I guess it changes for every build, but my chest is the equivalent of like 220 flat ES because I was doing a skin. But I think your point holds. I'm just saying I didn't take advantage of the high sort of amount of life ES in any way. That's what I mean. Like where the guy with 13,000 ES that can then tank a slam and immediately leech up with Vinktars or whatever. Yeah, I wasn't doing any of that. If I got bonked 12 times in a row for 1/12 of my life, I was dead.
Yeah, and you had to like go out of combat to regain it, right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Which is the intended idea behind that.
The intent, right? And that's what I'm saying. If you watched my character play, I mean, beyond the fact that I was taking advantage of other broken aspects of the game, like blasphemy, temp chains, which is so absurd. Even after the nerf, it's still the most absurd thing, because there's just no. Again, it goes back to what's the opportunity cost, and that's why. Not to go off on a segue on that, I just think that's the problem with ES, right? Where is the opportunity cost, and they're trying to bring some of that back, right? That's yeah. I mean, what you're in favor of it, obviously.
Oh, hugely in favor. Yeah, I think they're hit it right on the nail on most things. Okay. I think there are. Vaal Pact is still like an issue, even with life builds, especially with life becomes a little bit stronger. There are already outlier builds that are not as strong as ES, but they're not far from it once you start really taking advantage of ES with something like Berserker, for instance. Right. With all the leech they get. So it's still, you're not gonna the style of play, because that's what I see here, is like they want to remove a lot of the playstyles that trivialize all content in too simple of a fashion, and you're still gonna have some of those. You sure? Just because of Vaal Pact. So I think Vaal Pact might need some additional treatment, just so we don't get. Because I think the worst thing that could happen after this would actually be that they allow Vaal Pact to stay in its current form. Everyone just swaps into life Vaal Pact builds. Everyone starts posting videos on their boss fights in Act 10 on how they're just face tanking everything with Vaal Pact just life. It's like, why did you do this to us? Like, why can't we do this as ES now? Becomes the immediate response. Because you can just do it as live anyway, so why can't we play it on the ES? So if they don't address that issue, I think they're in for a bad awakening from the community.
Well, the part that I don't really understand is, for me, Vaal Pact was an answer to, with an opportunity cost, if it's in a weird spot and you have to spend a bunch of points, when points were much more valuable.
Yeah.
Right. Points are no longer as valuable as they used to be, because now you reliably get. I mean, I'm gonna hear somebody being like, "Moors, I've never hit 90 on a character." All right, well, I'm sorry for you, but you can hit 90 on a character very, very easily at this point. And that's, what is that? So it's 89 plus 23. So help me with my, it's 122 points, or 112 points, I should say. So it's like, you get 112 points. 112 points used to be like the fucking hitting end game. Like you've done leveling with your character a long time ago. So now you get 112 points basically when you've decided, do I want to start my journey to try to hit 95 or 100? So I think that 5, 8, 10 points makes a huge difference in a lot of builds.
It does.
We saw this before. The last time ES was a huge problem was really because they gave us more points. We got, I'm trying to remember the exact, because it was the time when people were making.
Was this with Piety when that came in? Where you got the extra skill points?
Yeah. It's so
I'm
tough
not
to
entirely
remember.
sure. I'm just thinking about when were the times we got more skill points? And I'm just thinking, well, we got +2 there, so maybe we got a lot more.
Well,
and then map levels rose, and so we got a few more skill points from that.
Right. And so then it became possible to get a bunch of ES. Oh, and also let's not forget, they added more multipliers to the game in terms of skill, like spell echo or whatever, those things. So then that allowed people to spec a little bit more into defense, getting ES, and then go all the way around the outside of the tree and pick up Vaal Pact and Unwavering Stance, right? And that allowed them then to wear a more offensive/defensive neck instead of Eye of Chayula. And then all of a sudden we had 10, 11,000, 12,000 ES builds that could take a bunch of damage, and then with Vaal Pact and Leech and Discharge was obviously the big thing back then, and a couple other things, you're almost immortal at that point. So so to me it's really interesting that I feel like this is something that people, I do think it's sometimes discounted a little bit, that I do think some of the more elegant solutions are like, I don't know if you were heading there, more drastic tree changes, like just get rid of Vaal Pact.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be? Because I thought it was a response, like Vaal Pact was the answer to Reflect. Yeah. Well, Reflect is gone from the game.
No, but yeah, it's kind of, I was getting to, well, how do you address Vaal Pact now? Because it provides you with the same issue. Okay. So to me, there are two possible solutions. Or at least I've come up with two possible solutions, or someone else came up with one of them, and the other one is just remove it.
This is for Vaal Pact.
Yeah, this is for Vaal Pact. So the one is remove it.
Okay.
But if you don't want to have that, and you want to allow players to have this, because you're actually already kind of entering into my point, which is points need to matter more.
Okay.
So if you want the full extent of Vaal Pact, add 4 nodes behind it. And there's an effectiveness, like, or you have to like get to the last point behind it before you get like the big thing, or maybe either that, or what you can do is, or no, you lead up to Vaal Pact, so you can go the point before Vaal Pact, because if you just have Vaal Pact, then there's still people abusing it probably in some way. But assume that you have something like Leech right in front of it, or faster, whatever, something that is required for Vaal Pact to even work.
Right.
So let's say that you get Vaal Pact even after you get like 5 of them, and then it works at 50% effectiveness, and then you can travel through the tree and get some more of it. So you'd have to spend, to get the total effectiveness of Vaal Pact, you'd have to spend maybe like 8 points total to get to the same. Because right now we have normal Leech, you need maximum Leech rate.
Right.
For that to feel good.
Scattered. Aren't they scattered everywhere?
Yeah, they're somewhat in the same space, but you do have to get there, and it requires a lot of points to get there.
Right.
So that will cost you, if you want the best effectiveness, you either have to be Slayer to get the best effectiveness out of them, and you have to get the points, and then you probably want 2 clusters, and there's like a few things you have to invest into. With Vaal Pact, there's none of that.
Right.
Which I think is an issue.
They're all in duelist.
Yeah, around that area, exactly.
Okay, yeah.
And that could be something you could do, just to force players into actually going Vaal Pact becomes a conscious choice, and there's a little bit more thought into the mechanic rather than it's just every instance of leech becomes instant.
Right.
So that's like that's kind of what I was thinking, though I would not be opposed to just straight up removing it, because it could still remain an issue even after that. Because it would lead, once people figure that out, and if we have enough damage, then it still leads back to the same style of build.
Okay.
I think another thing important to note here is also game design. Because Vaal Pact doesn't suffer from, there's not that many instances where Vaal Pact suffers, because you end up killing things too quickly. Or anything that instances your damage, anything that does damage over time, where you can't leech back from something, right? You take a bleed and you're running around with Vaal Pact, and let's say you kill the monster and you're bleeding. What are you gonna do if you don't have bleed? Like, that's just in the fringe case you don't have bleed removal, which everyone has. But let's just assume you didn't have bleed removal. This was actually something that was hard to get. Back in the day, this was actually an opportunity cost, with chaos being like on the map, like the constant chaos damage you would take, for instance, or the bleed you would take, or all this kind of degen damage everywhere. So you would run around and you wouldn't be able to regen, which is also why Vaal Pact has the cannot regen, because this was an actual issue.
Yeah.
Back when that was a thing. So if you introduce stuff like that again into the game, to where either actually having regen becomes a more valuable resource, and losing that makes your character a lot weaker, well, then it balances it out again. Because now you would consider regen to be OP, if that trivializes that content all the time.
Right. Well, and it's sort of building on that a little bit. It is interesting how I really guess we have entered the phase of this tree will never change at this point, the base tree. And it does seem like that in the old days, that's how they would have solved some of these things, where they would there'd just be more travel. Okay, so we have more points, but there's we add in a couple of travel nodes or whatever. It just seems like for the most part, these things are fixed. So it does seem like we need to have more solutions like what you're saying, nodes behind it, or nodes scattered throughout the tree, or something has to be done to sort of balance some of this stuff, because it just seems like opportunity comes. I mean, I think about the Death's Door edition, those boots.
Yeah,
they're basically best in slot for a lot of ES builds, I would have said.
Well, even life builds
too,
because
right?
don't need, now you can get a unique flask.
Yeah, you got a unique flask, and the power of because they had it. It's just so interesting how it's like this is the thing with PoE, where we have little things that have gone on, and then the problem really becomes you take something from pile A, something from pile F, and something from pile M, and then all of a sudden you're just so much stronger than you ever would have been, because the rock paper scissors thing that was going on has been completely blown out of the water by whatever it is. So anyway, I'm hopeful to see what happens. I in my heart of hearts, you want my honest opinion? I don't think much is going to really change. I think that they're getting rid of what I like to call the derp build, where you can derp in everything and you're never going to die because you're leeching. Okay, so fine. You could still do that though, right? Because people currently do that with Berserker and some other things. With Vaal Pact. So I guess we'll have to see what the end result of that is. I don't know that it solves. That's the thing, is that it feels like it doesn't solve the problem. Although this is the other thing I feel like also is sometimes not really talked about, is that whatever the perception of the best thing is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because I remember when the first time ES became truly dominant, which was during the Discharge, Searing Touch, that period of time meta, it used to be very tough to gear ES characters, right? But then at some, of course, I'm saying hardcore, softcore is different. I understand that. So all my experience is based on hardcore.
They're not that far apart.
No, I don't think they're that far apart. And there was so much more gear available for ES characters. So then all of the medium gear gets pushed down and down and down and down, and then it becomes easier and easier and easier to make the character, right? Because if no one's rolling ES gear, it's interesting how it just doesn't seem like, because the ES is so important. It's the same reason why I mean, of course it happens, you know, very rarely though, you find a double armor. So that would be flat and percent, and then a top life roll chest of any kind, right?
I think on ES it's even harder to find that because it has to be on the base item.
Correct. Exactly. You could find those rolls on a level 51 chest or whatever, a majestic plate chest is still a pretty good chest.
Yeah.
You know, it's like 1,400 or 1,500 instead of being 2,000 when it's an astral or a glorious plate. Now, is anyone going to pay out the ass for it? Probably not. So there's that. But I think that's to your point, that when people are crafting it and they're putting time into crafting it, and then it just sort of exponentially makes those sort of pieces of gear appear. And, you know, I could hear somebody saying, well, if they're so cheap, people will play it because it's such a cheap thing. And I would be like, yeah, people did do that. But it ended up being so different when people realized that they could craft these things, they could whatever. And it just sort of self-perpetuating that people are crafting the gear. Now, I mean, nowadays, so many people play that I think that point of view is not as important, right? Because there's so many, like, this is back when we had 5,000 people a day playing or something. You know, nowadays, I don't know what the daily number is at this point. I'm sure it's less than it was, but 25,000 on, I mean, the numbers I quote are on Steam only. So we've like quintupled or septupled the number of people playing on a day. So that means that if you want to get gear and you're trading or you're taking advantage of it, it's going to be much easier. And then there's essences and all this other shit. So, I mean, it's a little different. I feel like that's something that people discount.
I wanted to address one of the things you just said there. Because you said, like, it's not really solving the problem. So what do you think? What is the problem, in your opinion?
I think that the problem is, I think the problem is that the opportunity costs have become completely out of whack in the game.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's, you know, like, I just come back to unique design for unique items in the game was there's supposed to be a downside. That really seems like it has been abandoned at this point.
Yeah.
Now that's okay. That's okay. That was a different, I do think that this is sort of the problem, that there really have been 2 or 3 versions of PoE. So like it's the same way you would be like, this weapon in World of Warcraft, or, you know, this build tree in StarCraft was really strong, and then here we are now, and that was what they said they wanted to do, but here we are now, we don't do that anymore. Well, because even though we're still playing the same base game, we've had major expansions that have changed the game. So okay, that's how uniques used to be, and now uniques have changed. So I totally buy that. But I do think that some of the base, like,
philosophies,
you were like the way structures come together to make something, since those things have changed, but they haven't changed the fact that we're still always building a house. So we're still always building a character. So the fact that you can now don 3 or 4 unique items, and they're just the best item to be using in each slot, then opens up this sort of these other problems. And I think that that's the thing they don't seem to really have an answer for, in terms of they've given us so many things that allow us to take advantage of this other thing over here, and ES is just so much better at that at this point. Okay. Right? Because they need less flask spots, right? More uniques buff ES builds than life builds, in my opinion. And maybe I should come up. It's probably 50-50 life or ES, but the ones that work with ES work extraordinarily well. There are very few uniques for life that, to me, work at the same level. I mean, there are some, you know, combs maybe, or the Surrender Shield. I think the Surrender Shield is one of the best life-based uniques that's come out in a very long time.
For sure, yeah.
But so there are many more examples of what I just said for ES. Right?
Yeah.
Death's Door, to me is just out of control. I do kind of think that the Eye of Chayula is insane. Chevron's is, of course,
I think Eye of Chayula is it's in a decent spot. I think you gave up a lot by not having anything on your amulet slot. So I think Eye of Chayula is I think the upgraded version is nuts. That is insane. There's no way to ever top that on a build ever.
No. Well, but think about this. When was Eye of Chayula introduced to the game? I don't know, fucking like patch 0.9 or something. It's been in the game forever. So is it a well-designed unique? Absolutely, because it's a unique that got designed back when that's how they designed uniques.
It's funny when you look at an item like that. It does one thing.
Yeah,
for that build, it gives you one thing: stun immunity. That's it. Nothing else. Right. It's the same thing with bleed immunity, which I feel is close to as powerful, especially with flasks in the game. And it does how much? It gives you resist and movement speed, endurance charges, and it's high armor and ES. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's like adding. Imagine you add like a frenzy charge and some resist to Eye of Chayula, and now that's the item. Oh,
I'm gonna look at it right now because I want to make sure we're quoting it right. So excuse me. It also gives you 20 to 40 strength.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which is like a huge fucking problem if you're playing an ES character.
Yeah,
I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Like, okay, I have hated since the day it came out. I don't want to meme the node. It's called Aspect of the Panther. No. It's called. Maybe they got rid of it or they moved it. I don't remember. One of the nodes in Ranger with the redesign of Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I thought there was a five line node somewhere over there. I can't find it right now. But anyway.
Oh, it just did everything?
Yeah, it just did everything. It's like, but I look at like Aspect of the Panther, life, attack speed, physical damage, block chance. I mean, I think this is a symptom a little bit of the. I'm sure there's a word for it or something for that where they just start throwing everything on. And you look at Death's Door, you
could say the same thing for the accuracy Marauder.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, absolutely. Oh yeah.
It's kind of band-aid fixes for where things struggle a little bit. I do think that's not a good thing to apply to unique. I think they've been too lenient in just creating things that players would. Well, you see, this is where I don't actually like how it. Whenever I say it, it seems weird, because whenever you say I don't like when they make items that accommodate players and are fun. Yeah. Because it seems seems as if we're trying to take away the fun.
Yeah, and this is the thing though. This is why this stuff is. I don't want to say it's stupid, but I find it stupid because people who have kind of warned about some of this stuff get shouted down, right? And unfortunately there's nothing we can do about it. PT sort of became the standard bearer for it, but it's not like he's the only person.
Well, I think he became that because he was being unreasonable at the same time.
Right. He took it to the extreme. Yeah.
I've been talking about a lot of these things, and I've never heard.
I think almost every streamer has talked about it.
Yeah.
In one form or another. That's the thing. That's was sort of my point. It's like every streamer's talked about it, and at various points, because we didn't like band together to form a union and go on strike. That whoever brings it up at the time gets sort of pilloried by the community for talking about it. But then I see these threads where people are like, okay, the game's getting a little crazy. Yeah, dude. Where were you like 2 patches ago when we needed people to be like, this is not great. We need to slow things down. Some of these uniques that are being introduced. And the thing is, of course it's totally fine. That's somebody out there is like, well, I want to have fun with the game. That's good. That's what we want. We want people to have that opinion. And then the thing is, you need someone to come along and be the arbiter between those two things. And that's really GGG's job. And I come back to, I don't think that the reason that since there's uniques that are stupidly powerful, that's why PoE is doing so well right now.
Yeah, I
It
agree
might
on
be a
that.
part. It might be a part of it, right? Whatever. But I think that they could rein back the power a little bit, and the game would still be as fun to people and enjoyable and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So I just don't like that when we sort of not reverse, but like we justify what we're doing right now. I keep saying we as if I designed the game. But, these things go on, and we justify well the game's popular right now. Now I do think, unfortunately, I mean I think these are interesting changes they've done. I still don't think they solve the underlying problem, and I think that I don't think the game's going to get slowed down at all.
I think I want to disagree a little bit there.
Okay,
because
fine.
I think this is the first step on one of the underlying problems. Because an underlying problem here is the huge disparity between life and ES in terms of base, like just base HP pool or like base life on gear versus what you get on life. I think it's a huge problem when you have every single piece on ES being a calm sword, the helmet, the shield, and the chest. This is a big problem because we're talking about opportunity cost here as the way you invest into the character. Well, if you get all this life for free, but when you get all these pieces that amount such a huge amount compared to what the other route you could go, then you have a problem.
Right.
So I think this is one of the underlying problems that ES gear. I think ES gear has been a huge problem for a long time.
Okay. No, okay. But so then unique flasks, Ascendancy?
Sure. Yeah.
But I guess we'll see.
Ascendancy is kind of, well, it's underlying I don't know. It's that is in the game to stay, I think.
Yeah.
Now you have to I don't know.
I mean, they're not changing unique flasks. I mean,
no.
So
I think they are okay, and I think it's okay that at some point we get to where we feel like we're trivialized, or we get to some sort of trivialized content more than we've ever done before, especially when you invest heavily into something. And I think that's okay. I think it's okay that players can get a large amount of power, but there has to be some kind of an upper limit to how much we can get, and we've pushed that, and I think that's okay because characters have felt slow in PoE in the past, and so pushing that limit some is, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's important to keep character progression in a good spot and to not have trivial builds or very low investment builds to do the things that should require a lot.
Right.
So I don't know. I think some of the Ascendancies have, I think, a little bit too much power for the opportunity cost that they provide. Say you don't want to deal with status ailments. Well, if you have something that takes away such a huge part of the game, okay, maybe we need to hone in the overall power of this Ascendancy. So I think those kind of things could be addressed, for sure. I think Ascendancies are, to me at least, I enjoy having them in the game. I think there's maybe a mismatch on some of the power they allow some of the nodes to have. For instance, like you get 40 LE damage and some other things on the thing that gives you status ailment. Well, maybe that node should just be status ailments, like the Fortify is, right? The Fortify is just Fortify. It's not Fortify plus 3 different damage rolls and some resist or whatever.
Yes. I mean, but again, I think it comes back to that point of you have these nodes now in the tree that do 75 things compared to they used to be strength, life. Occasionally it was a big node, and the big node had 2 things, so it'd be like attack speed and strength or something, or whatever. And now I don't know, to top it they have to introduce, I don't know, I mean, that's why I think that the Pantheon system, I guess I need to be careful what I say. I think that the new systems have the potential to be super OP because they just they want to make something new and interesting. If everyone is like Pantheon system sucks, that's a problem, right? So I mean, I'm not faulting them for it. You know, I'm not saying this is easy to do. It's obviously tough to do. It's just right if the tree itself is a 1, and sorry, it's a nice day out, so the motorcycle gang's out. if the tree is a 1 and ascendancies are a 2, then they, by definition, they have to make something that's 2 or greater of power.
Yeah.
For it to be interesting in some form or another. Even if it's, I guess they said, did they say Pantheon was going to be defensive focused? More defensive focused?
It's all defensive focused.
Okay. So, maybe they're, if Ascendancy is offense and Pantheon is defensive.
Yeah.
But again, there's defensive Ascendancies, right? Like the Fortify one or the Block one, or I don't know, the Juggernaut, I guess. Or Pathfinder's really, to me.
Wouldn't you enjoy it though if the game became more of a, because they're taking away a lot of the power, the damage that we get, and we're not having double dipping. Well, then they don't need to introduce sprinklers and Hawa and all these kind of things where you have the attack based characters doing as much as the double dipping characters.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested.
So I know you enjoy the playstyle of kind of more of a tanky role, and you get bonked, and then you have like these tools of regenerating. You don't just like hit them and then but because you're doing less damage, but you actually have tools of either mitigating and you're going a little bit slower, but you survive more.
Right.
Which is kind of what we're going towards with Tangent maybe.
Yeah, well, I think that's the irony of the current situation, is that non-tanky characters are the tankiest characters in the game.
Yes.
That's the problem. And I mean, that to me, that's the irony of all the stuff, the builds that I preferred to play, that they were like aghast that someone could do that. And then we get something where I don't understand, like there is no, the only thing that can kill characters, the current characters are, which I guess is it's an influenced fight design, things that have phases, things that have, like if Atziri didn't have phases, right, the current characters would just shit in a millisecond, right? So it's like, I kind of wish I could be back there and like sit in on the GGG meeting where they were like, we really have to deal with this layered defensive stuff. And then it's like, okay, so they got rid of all that and they forced people to go to far more offensive, kill the monsters before the monsters see you type of builds. And I mean, the thing is, I don't remember anyone talking about any of the stuff that is going on right now. Back then, I guess because it's just circumstances, all people cared about was desync. Right? So, I mean, I guess it's unfair to compare the two versions of the game.
Yeah.
But I feel like if we were playing 1.2 or 1.1 or whatever it was, that version of the game with all those same tools, but desync didn't exist, I don't see the same problems. In fact, I think people will be focusing on, we need more skills. We need more interesting multipliers. We want more interesting builds. Like, let's make them, like, I want minions to work now. Versus right now, people are really concerned about rating and the power. And I feel like it's a problem they made themselves by deciding they don't like defensive characters. I mean, that's really what they did. And they really did not like my playstyle. And I say my like I own it, but I mean,
it's
like,
actually kind of, I do agree.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I don't know why.
Like, every max resist has gotten a huge bonk over time, and everything that's where defense could be taken to an absurd level.
Extreme.
Except yes.
Except yes.
And then Vaal Pact.
Right. Yeah. So I guess there's more to come. Right, I would assume there's a lot more to come. The little bit I know that I can't talk about, I feel like, is we don't know. I don't think there's much that has been revealed. So I think that we're in store for. So today is the 21st of May, and was it the 7th of July they pegged the Oriath release? Did they actually have a date, or they said early July? And somebody.
Well, they have a target date.
Target date.
They have a target date that could change, but they are trying their hardest to hit that date. Which probably means that it's not going to be too far from it. No. They're confident enough that they have a product that is close enough to being finished, that bearing some changes, it's going to hit close to that date. And there's
it was June 7th was the beta.
Yes, that's the target date for the beta.
For the beta.
Yes.
Right. I said July 7th.
Okay, okay. So, no, June.
My fault.
So we're talking 3 weeks.
Yeah. So I've got to assume that we're going to find out a couple more. I would think 1 or 2 big reveals are yet to come. And then on top of the probably 2 to 3 big reveals that they're saving for release of the game, right? Because we will not get Act 9, Act 10.
No.
So maybe there'll be another, maybe they'll change scaling of life again. Is it still 12 per level. 12. You get 12
Do you think
life
they
per level.
should? Do you think they should do anything with life?
I don't know what the answer is.
Wouldn't you rather
I
just
think
have
that,
more defenses, better defenses, rather than more life? So
yeah. I mean, it's a good question. What do you think?
I don't think life builds need more. I think with Pantheon coming out, that's gonna be a buff to all builds.
Okay,
The power, like the game becomes a little bit harder, but I don't see life builds necessarily struggle too much.
Okay.
Like only relative to ES builds is the only place where I see them having, like, they're not good enough. Right, but it's only in the comparison.
Yeah.
Let's say ES is no longer in the game. Does life work in the game? Yeah, it does.
Right. Yeah, I mean, okay, well, I'm gonna say something, and I can feel that. I could feel people. Well, I mean, sometimes I feel like no matter how I phrase it, you're gonna take it the wrong way. But I feel like I'm a bad person to talk about this, because I truly don't die on my characters that often. Right, like, I'm so happy that I was in Marek LeFou's video finally, because I found Headhunter, right, second day of the league. So I had a real highlight worthy of something, right? But I just don't die on my characters. So, like, people saying that Volatile is a problem for life builds, I primarily make life builds. I've never died to Volatile, ever. So, I guess, but like, I think of all sorts of other people complain about it. So I feel like I want to sort of help those people out, even though I don't think it's a problem, and I think life is in a great spot. I think that I wish the game was slower. I do think that they're, you can't even stop and smell the roses at this point. Like, it used to be you would stop and smell the roses all the time, right? Nowadays you're in an F-22 and you've screamed by at Mach 3 and, fired off a rocket and blown everything up. I mean, so it's like a different, I don't know, I just think it's a different, there's sort of a different play style, and so that means that volatiles are really dangerous for people and they don't like it. And I agree with them. I think volatiles are honestly terrible design in the current meta, where you're going so fast that you can't. It's
even when you weren't, I feel like they were not, they never fit PoE. Because even defensive, like, if you, there's literally nothing. Like, there's no interaction between your mitigation and a volatile, because it's a secondary damage type that ignores armor, evasion, block, dodge. Like, it ignores so many things, and furthers this, like, one style where you just build life and get fortify.
Right. No, exactly. So I mean, I guess it's being changed, right? That was confirmed.
It is.
So we'll have to see. I mean, the thing is, on the other hand, though, those speed bumps in the road, I think, were somewhat important. Now, if things really do slow down a lot, I'm very interested to see it. I do think that people, maybe with path of building and some of this other stuff we've talked about, people overkill things so much that reducing power by 50%, I think, for things other than Shaper, Guardians, right? Like, maybe Chayula or something. It's not going to be really noticeable, right? Like, I do.
If you reduce the power by 50%, I think that would be very noticeable.
For just random packs out there.
Yeah, for the average player, I think that would be a huge.
But the average player wasn't taking advantage of those things. That's sort of the point.
I don't know. I think the average player takes a good enough advantage. Okay, so in the extreme case, well, it's gonna affect you some.
Sure, no, of course. I just mean
the average
player is not killing those bosses in the first place, right? Where that thing was truly broken.
Yeah,
that's sort of. Okay.
So for an end game perspective, let's say we remove 50% of the damage across the board, like like we are doing that and even more with poison and fire. So,
right,
like, that's definitely going to be brought down by that much.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the exact numbers, but it's a lot, right? Based on what Rory's talk about the.
Yeah, well, if you run some numbers on your own, you quickly see when you start doing, like, when the multiply becomes in the 50th, and that goes down to maybe to 8.
Right. Well, okay, Well, obviously, there's probably more we could talk about ES, but we should cover some other stuff.
Yeah.
What do you think about? I'm gonna switch the order of the two things we want to talk about.
Okay.
What do you think about I want to talk about the lab changes because this is near and dear. This is near and dear to my heart. That's probably selfish. Maybe it's not.
No, it's okay.
What people, first topic. I don't know what to say or think. I mean.
Okay. Walk people through the lab changes first.
Okay, so the lab changes are, well, perspective changes. Is that there's still going to be 4 labs, or I should say 4 Izaro encounters.
Yes.
We don't know exactly when. There's going to be normal, cruel, merciless, except I'm using the current nomenclature to refer to whatever it is. It could be Act 3, Act 6, Act 9. We don't know enough details yet for that. And the difference is you are going to have to do all 6 of the normal trials, right? And that unlocks the first Azaro. Then you have to do 3 trials, and that unlocks the cruel equivalent, and then 3 more unlocks the merciless equivalent. Now, currently, remind me, just because again I try to block it from my mind because I hate it so much. You have to do every single trial.
Yes.
In every single difficulty on your first character
right now. So
it's 18 trials, right?
Yes. So now it's 12.
So now it's 12?
Yes.
Okay. So that's all right. So that's one thing. It's still interesting to me. The things they solve are actually the thing I have. That's what I always laugh about it. They solve the shit that I don't care about.
Which is
because
in this case
because you already, if you had to do all the trials in the first place, but then they were done with at that point, whether it was 12 or 18, I guess I don't really care. I guess it does help it helps that person that plays an hour a week, right? And I don't think that's something that's not an insignificant amount of the population, and we should care about that stuff. So I 100% think that's a good change.
Okay, so I have to. So I think it's important to note here though that with 3.0 coming out, we also have a Pantheon system coming in. So you don't want to. I think it's important to not oversaturate players with all these small objectives. Yeah. Like you have to run to the different pantheons, and like you have to kill all the mini bosses, right, to unlock them or something. And so you have to do that, and you have to do the trials, and so you kind of have to rein in the amount. So I don't think this is a. I think it's an important thing to do for the game not to feel like there's
reducing the so like in place of 6 trials we have 6 Pantheon things to do.
Possibly, yeah.
No, I mean, so obviously I'm sure it's not equivalent, but it's just it's a way to sort of think about it.
Because imagine, I think you'd be really annoyed if you felt like, okay, I have to do these 18, and then I have to do these other 12, and let's say they introduce another system. I'm pretty sure if I talked to you after the 3.0 and they didn't reduce the amount, and then we have to do all these other things, you would be livid about the fact that we had to do this many now. Why don't you do some of them?
But it depends, though. If I could buy a rush for the Pantheon system, then I don't care anymore. This is my that's the thing, is my fundamental problem with that Izaro and that system is not every character is meant to do lab, but it is a thing that you cannot purchase a carry. I'm sorry, I don't care what anyone fucking says about you buy a carry. Killing Izaro is the easiest part of the fucking lab.
Well, for you.
It's all, okay.
And also figuring out the traps, and someone can run ahead of you and do all the gold doors, and
it's still, you can't TP in and just get the thing. Like, be there for the kill and get the thing, which you can do for everything else in PoE. And I understand people don't want that, but again, tie some other system to that thing. What I don't like is that I just hate the reductive, stupid argument that we'll just don't participate. So in essence, the argument for that how you refute my perspective, which is that not every character I want to do lab on, but yet part of every character nowadays is getting Ascendancy, is to just not play PoE. So then don't play PoE is the response.
Yeah, no, I get it.
You know what I mean? Like, that's such a stupid bullshit thing. There have been so many things in the game where people don't like it, and then they change it. They're like, okay, we're going to give someone an out. I still don't know why, enchants and chests and I don't know, something else can't be tied to, okay, you have to complete the thing, versus just getting your Ascendancy unlocked is something you can do when you get carried, or you can sell to other characters on your account. I've said this before. I really don't like it. If I make a lab character, it's no problem and I'm fine with it, right? But I often don't want to make my first character in the league a lab specific character, right? And a character that's meant to do lab, which to me honestly is tankier. I mean, I don't know, maybe ES base is not worst. I think life tanky is the best way to do, so you can just face tank Azaro and everything's easy at that point. All the like my current block character, my Scorching Ray character that was blocked last league, the lab was a joke, and I ran like 30 or 40 Uber labs trying to get enchants and all this other stuff. So it's like, okay, that's no problem. But that on that character, I don't mind running the lab.
Yeah, because you build around it.
Right, and to me, it's the same thing. Like killing. Imagine if you had to kill Shaper. Well, there are clearly builds that kill Shaper better, and so could I kill Shaper on my Golem character? 100%. Is the risk absurdly high for a character that's not meant as a boss killer? Yes. So why would I do that? Why would I waste my time? I mean, maybe this is influenced by the fact that I play hardcore, because of course the softcore, one of the best characters to kill Shaper on is a Golem character where you die, and we can get into hopefully that gets changed. As your golems don't die when you die, your minions don't die. But
yeah, it's
you build something for it, right?
I can. So, because I've been really thinking about this, especially with how you just there's just all the arguments I've ever made to you. You still just it's hard to really make you like it in any way or accept it. I can see I'm starting to understand your point, right. Because for everything else in the game, there is the hard part about Azaro, and that's kind of what I come back to here, is that you can trivialize everything else when it comes to just passive points and all these kind of things that make the base, like the skeleton of the character. Everything of those things, there's a way to trivialize it. Like with skill points and then all these other things, and
right.
I would even assume Ascendance or a Pantheon.
There's a shortcut. That's what. There is a shortcut,
and the dangerous part is running through it, and you can't.
Right.
There's no way you can circumvent that in any way, especially if you specialize into something that might be really terrible at this specific thing.
Right. So it's like, why? This is the thing. If I make the point of PoE is freedom to do whatever you want and all this stuff. If I don't want to do lab, I really shouldn't be forced to do it. And that's actually really true of everything else in PoE. If I don't want to do bosses, I can buy a carry. I can get someone to come kill it for me. You can't. This is the one thing you can't do this with, and I just don't understand why there is no answer. That's the part I have a problem with. It's not that I don't like their answer to it, right? So like, let's say that the answer was, well, you have to make an alt, and it's a lab running alt, and that thing you can farm unlocks of ascendancies, say for normal, cruel, merc, or maybe even Uber. I don't know. I don't care about any of that. Then you can sell it to a character bind on account or something. Okay, so that's maybe I don't, and I'm not somebody who enjoys rolling that many characters in general. When there's race seasons, when there's no race seasons, I've made a lot of characters. Last couple leagues. It's not that I don't enjoy their answer, or oh, if you do merciless lab, you get 6 points. You haven't done normal, you haven't done cruel, you get 6 points. And in fact, it's something I actually feel the most risk in normal lab compared to merciless lab in the current game. I don't know why that is. When I run a character through that's not, it's like 65, it feels to me like the traps are much scarier in normal than it is in merciless. Maybe it's because it's psychological.
I think it's the idea that if I die here, then I'm terrible. Because I'm in normal.
Yeah. No. And so it's so counterintuitive. And I understand that there are people who really like it. They wanted something different. So that's fine. I'm not saying to remove it from the game. Let me circumvent it. That's what I don't understand the argument for why you need to force. I'm not forcing my point of view on you. Why are you forcing your point of view on me? And that's what's happening. Right. I don't want to play the current version of PoE. I'd much prefer the other version. Yeah. But okay, this is what we're doing, so I'm playing it now.
I'm mostly thinking of what, like, in some other cases where you could say the same thing. Well, if I want to go fast, why can't I go fast? It's the same. But I think that's
you could though. You could go fast back in the old PoE. People were going, haste and supports and all that stuff. mean, what is considered fast now is super fast. You know, we're like rocket speed. I don't know.
It's just
anyway.
Whenever I think about this, I think is there a necessity within the game where, like, is it necessary to prevent people from this playstyle? Because I think it's necessary. Like, there are other playstyles I think there's necessary to keep, like Vaal Pact and Face Tank and those kind of things. But is it necessary to stop people from getting a more enjoyable time through lab? Like, is that a necessary thing to block? And I can't really think of anything.
Right. I think that's the right way to think about it. Because if someone doesn't enjoy leveling, I mean, I kind of want to come back to, you're playing a fucking leveling simulator. So I don't know. We have fundamental problems at that point. If somebody wants to say, I don't enjoy by my third character, so that's 9 playthroughs of the game, and so that's getting a little old. Well, see, that to me, that's an argument, and that's how we got to the 10 acts. Even though, I mean, I don't want anyone to be surprised out there when the second playthrough of the game is kind of like the first playthrough with like 1 or 2 additional acts added on, because they've already talked about they're reusing stuff. It's going to be, you're going through the game again, right, in a different way. It's very cool. It's totally revolutionary. It's still kind of a second playthrough a little bit. So okay, and yet you can skip all that stuff if you really, really, really don't want to. You just want to grind a place, or you want to whatever. Again, you could skip it, and there's one thing you can't skip. It just doesn't fit. I don't know. It's almost like I get the feeling. Okay,
so I just want to go back to the so first off, with the lab changes. Okay. Sticking to that, right? So yes. I think what they're doing is good and it's necessary.
Sure. Yes, it doesn't.
I follow your point of your problem, and I think going forward that we could definitely, I think that would be a good discussion point to where, how do we solve that problem, and is it a problem to be solved? Because I kind of want to go a little bit into your camp and saying, yeah, I think we want to solve it in some way. Not take away all of it, maybe. At least there has to be some kind of time investment, or something that will require you to do some action, but maybe not having to run through the lab in the same way if you're doing now. So I think I could definitely meet you on that one.
I mean, I've always advocated, let me do Merciless Lab and get me 6 points. What's wrong with that? I've completed the toughest content in the game. I understand. We've talked about it before. You can't do Merciless Ship Graveyard and get 3 passive points. How
about this? How about if you have one character that's done all of them, the next characters on your account, if you completed in Merciless because you've done all of them, can now just be done that way. So that the first playthrough is not, so you actually have to go through the content, but on the second one, you get the full completion on Merciless Lab.
Yeah, fine. I think that's fine. You know, just something, anything. Just throw me a fucking, throw me a life raft here.
Yeah.
You know, and it's interesting to me where, I don't know, I'm actually really surprised because I've seen a lot of people who do not like it. Yeah. And usually when there's a lot of people who don't like it, they tend to capitulate more. So when it's so funny to me that they're not capitulating on something I truly hate, to the point where I'm like, it actually detracts from me playing the game. Okay. I have a Frostbite's character that I've been meaning, like this week I'm going to start leveling. I've been leveling a little bit. I swear to God, I would enter lab right now and just feel depressed. I'm playing a video game that I'm actually really enjoying. I'm like fucking shit up and gearing, and then I enter the lab and I go, oh fuck, not this shit again. And so it's actually something that would stop me from leveling more characters, 100%, because I got to deal with this. I got to get a carry, I guess, if I don't want to do it. I still have to run through the shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. Like, at some point, I no longer want to deal with it. Now, like you say, if we keep do it the first character and then you have to do it the one time and then you get some benefit for the later characters, I think that would be great. That would solve so many problems. So you still have to participate in the content. Anyway, I'm just surprised that I
think on some of these issues where there's either they haven't found their quote unquote perfect solution, so they would rather just let it wait until they do. Yeah. Or maybe they've just decided that this is how they want it to go forward.
Right.
Even though I don't think I think with having heard so many different arguments and so many different point of views, and having played D2 as well now, with how that game works, I can definitely see where a lot of people come from when it comes to wanting to have skippable content and what it means for them to play a game like Path of Exile and any RPG where you just wanna have a good time, play through the things you like and all that kind of stuff. I can definitely empathize with that.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting because, and I want to go back to this. I know we touched on it a little bit, or maybe I did, or whatever. That it seems like from the reading of the changes that were announced, you can't actually do the labs in any order you want.
Yeah,
right?
I think
it seems like you unlock. Oh,
yeah.
maybe they correct that. Maybe no. I think that you enter and then you can choose. But then the question becomes, maybe they answered that.
I'm not sure.
The first blush was like, holy shit, I have to do the normal before I do the cruel equivalent. And it's like sometimes the normal lab sucks, you know, for that day. So you don't want to do that.
They are making it shorter though. The normal will be substantially shorter.
Substantially shorter. Yeah. So they said that. So anyway, okay, I'm. It's just something, you know. It's just there's now a part of PoE that to me is vegetables, and I understand that for a lot of people, the trading was the vegetables or something, you know, or I don't know, you know. And like I remember when I was little, I hated green beans and I'd want to put applesauce on them and then I would eat them. So it's like, and that's my problem with the lab. There's no applesauce that I can put on the lab. Like just fucking choke it down. And I mean, and I like broccoli. So it's not vegetable. I eat broccoli every day. It's not vegetables. It's that specific thing. That's the part that I think that's what gets lost in a lot of these when people have problems with something. It's not PoE or it's not even Ascendancy, although I do think I actually have a problem with Ascendancy, but in general. But I'm just saying I think that it's the specific thing that's blocked, and it's how do we get to that middle ground. I mean, and I'm hoping, as a sort of to segue back to the previous topic, you know, maybe the Vaal Pact change will be the thing that gets us between, okay, it's only for life. Vaal Pact only works with life, basically. You can't, you shouldn't take it with CI, right? There'd be zero reason to take it with a CI.
You can't.
Right?
Yeah, no, it won't work.
Won't work. So, okay, you know, all right. So, you know, maybe it'll be the thing. So, anyway. We should we're well over time, but it's good though. I'm having this is a good discussion. We should I want to get to the last topic I really want to talk about. And that is the Twitch, Amazon, PoE. Did they say partnership in the announcement? Hold on, I've got it right here. I'm just gonna look right now.
They might have phrased it that
Twitch
way.
Prime, Twitch Prime promotion is how Bex phrased it regarding it. So it seems like I didn't realize this. I mean, I guess this is typical American. I was, you know, I'm sure all things are limited in certain places because, like, you know, doesn't Korea have all sorts of crazy rules for?
They probably
or maybe it's China. What'd you say?
They probably do, yeah.
Yeah, like with gambling, you know what I mean? You have to be a certain age and gambling. So I mean, I understand that there's always gonna be restrictions for different countries, different rules. I didn't realize it was only like 7 countries have Twitch Prime.
Yep.
Or something.
I can't get it.
You can't get it?
No. Like none of the Nordic countries can get it, I think. Like Sweden, Norway, Denmark.
Is that rule is that rules in your country or
I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure what it is that's preventing it. Right. I think it's also to do with infrastructure of Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Because Amazon Prime guarantees you delivery, like free delivery on like 2-day free delivery or something.
Right.
And if we don't have the infrastructure or they don't want to invest into making sure that they can deliver to every single household in that country.
Okay.
You see where the issue is? Because now you can't get Amazon Prime.
Right.
And the only way to get this is Amazon Prime.
Right. Now, is it because some European countries don't use traditional currency? Like what's currency in our country? Like chocolate and like sheep and like lozenges or something? That was a troll. No, I mean, it was just so weird to me reading that. I was like, oh, I had no idea that there were so many places And again, it's not like you're saying, really well, highly, Nordic countries, highly developed countries somehow don't have it too. So it's not like it's just like, oh, okay, you live in the Congo and you're like 3 people in the Congo who play Path of Exile. I mean, I hate to be I'm not trying to be racist, but I'm just saying, like, some country where there's not that many people who play computer games for whatever reason, then because they're underdeveloped or, behind. Okay, so that we don't have Twitch Prime there, but there's tons of like places where I'm stunned they don't have it. So then it becomes, okay, so there's a bit of a drama about that. But then they came out and said, what did they do? They announced that I think they came out and said you'll just be able to get it. But I don't think you get it for free, though. You'll be able to buy it at some point. And they're running a giveaway. Yeah, I believe is what they're doing to sort of alleviate some of the problems.
So could you go over for the people who don't know what it is? I think
so I'm trying to find regarding the Twitch Prime. I thought I had it open, but then I'm looking at it. A Twitch Prime team is aware of this feedback, and they've generously offered to support a giveaway for Path of Exile community, or for the Path of Exile community, in conjunction with Alienware, which will take place during the beta for the Fall of Oriath. So the giveaway will be open to all regions and include prizes sponsored by Twitch, Amazon, Alien Hardware, and also free microtransactions from us. So basically, it seems like, unfortunately, at the end of the day, if you don't have Twitch Prime, you're just, in terms of this specific MTX, you're screwed.
Yeah, you have to buy it.
You have to buy it. Okay, that's not great.
You still have to purchase Amazon Prime before. So you can purchase it, but without getting the Amazon Prime. So
yeah. So okay, maybe it's I don't know. I mean, the thing, it's interesting with this stuff is I feel like I wonder how much they're going to be integrating stuff. I've always wondered why there isn't I know tons of people with Amazon Prime, but I haven't had them sub to my channel, and their sub is completely wasted because they don't watch video games. So I've always wondered why. I guess because it'd be like you could social engineer or some hack or something or whatever. Why I can't send everyone I know a link if you have Twitch Prime and you're not using this service, you just click. I guess because you're really supposed to be watching Twitch.
I think you could do that though, but you would have to create your own web page. Okay. So you would have to create a web page that if you click this button, it sends through the command that you would normally like. It would then redirect to your sub button, basically. So it's just a button that people could click, or like a link that would then perform the command of clicking that button.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I mean, it's the same thing. Like, so if you're not going to use your Twitch Prime thing, you can't send it into a pool to like sell it on the market, kind of like Steam does. You know what I mean? Where you have the trading cards or the CS:GO. I don't. Anyway, Anyway, it's
the Twitch Prime is it's a promotional tool for Amazon Prime.
Right.
Like promotional tools are not meant to be distributed in bulk if you don't want to use it. They're intended to encourage you to use their product because you get this extra thing.
Right. No, I understand. It's one of those things where it's like, I'm sure there's a huge mismatch of people. There's people out there who want the Path of Exile thing, and there's going to be tons of these codes that go to waste.
Oh, in that sense, yeah. So you have all these people who would like to take advantage of this and get and then why not make it easy for them to like give that
trade it or or something or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, look, it's not feasible for this thing. Maybe it's something that changes in the future. I don't know. It's weird. I'm curious what you think. I don't think it's a non-issue, but I think it's along the same lines of when people freaked out about pay to win in terms of the public API, public tabs and stuff. It's like to me, it's such a non-issue. But again, it could be like the Volatile thing, because I am a Twitch Prime and I'm a streamer and I've donated $1,000 to PoE. So I guess money is of no object to me. Well, that's definitely not the case, but I guess more than somebody else. So then I don't know. I
think
feel
it's
like
a non-issue. I'm sorry. If you want to purchase this thing, you can. You don't get the Amazon Prime. It's a promotional tool. Like you can't like they can't win every time. They can't just.
Right. Yeah.
It's more important for them. I think at the end of the day, the game benefits more from them.
Sure.
taking advantage of whatever good promotional tool they can. And this is one of the better ones. Like, they can reach a huge audience. It draws people in and all that kind of good stuff. And it's I don't see any problem with it.
No.
And they even acknowledge that there is like that this is not something we can make available for everyone. So we're taking steps into doing the best we can.
Right.
For those who
I think it's good that I do like that they answered right away, because I will say in the past I have actually not been a fan of some of the things that they've done. I know it's, again, affects such a small subset of the community, but I'll never forget the Rocket races. Like, I'm sorry, we have a 6-class game, and so there's 5 prizes, and so it's just best XP. It's not the best of each class. That was just such a stupid. I'm sorry, it was just stupid. Yeah. There is nothing anyone can say to me other than I'm lazy and stupid for the reason why that went on. And the same thing with the Razor footprint thing. I'm sorry, it was just stupid, not thought out. So, okay, this one, at least in my mind, they've learned from that, and they've been like, here's what's going on. And by the way, we talked to Amazon, because that was the problem with Rocket and Razor. They didn't say to them, whoa. I mean, at least I guess we don't know that. Given the fact it was such a stupid outcome, I kind of feel like there wasn't much of a dialogue. GGG was just thrilled to have this stuff. And okay, in fairness to them, the game was much smaller. Was, futures were uncertain. So I understand where they were coming from.
You see, I think there's a lot of opportunity cost here, right? Because back then there's the opportunity of getting these things outweighed it's not perfect. Now they want to make it as perfect as possible, because the downside is much larger, because the community responds if it's not good. Well, then it's not worth it for us anymore.
Yeah. Well, and it's so interesting. You can look. I remember I made a shit post about I forget what it was. Maybe it was like 2.0 beta or 1.0 beta, and it was like a Star Trek picture. Oh, because it was Nemesis was the League, and that's the name of a Star Trek movie. And I pasted people's pictures. Do you remember this thing? Because I put you in over one of the things. Oh. I pasted your face over and there was Geordie LaForge and then Crip and Willie, and I pasted a bunch of people. Anyway, and Chris was there. Chris was in the front. But it was a shit post. Chris responded. I got gold for it. It was my top shit post for a long time. And it only had like 400 upvotes or something, which at the time was fucking crazy for the PoE subreddit. The fucking energy shield shit post.
Do you have it?
My Nemesis thing?
Yeah.
I can get it here. Hold on, let me see. Nemesis.
I'll make sure to make a little link to it below after we're done here.
It's a Path of Exile poster for Nemesis. Here we go. Here it is. I found it. I can't believe I found it. No, sorry. I think it was my other one. This had only 125 upvotes, 44 comments, but for that month was like the second or third. It was the second or third post for the month, right? And right now, the tragedy of Energy Shield, 31 upvotes, but 159 comments. So I mean, the comments is like it's about. I mean, to me, usually shit post. There's not much to say. Dude, 5 out of 7 with Rice shit post or whatever. It's just so interesting. It's just illustrating. I've linked it right now. How much bigger the game is when you look at these things. You know what I mean? Like my post was from 3 years ago, right? So in 3 years, that is like, I'm sure I don't even crack the top 1,000 posts, 2,000 posts, right? You know what I mean? But it's the same type of shit post. And I got a lot. I mean, at the time, people were messaging me a game like, that fucking, are you like, something about Photoshop? I'm like, dude, it was the worst Photoshop in the world. But I'm just sort of showing what you're talking about, Nugi, where it's like the downside's much higher, because the community's not saturated, but there's so many more people participating. I mean, I think there was only like 18 or 17,000 people in the subreddit at that point. We're up to, I'm looking, 98,943 as the amount of subscribers.
Almost at 100K.
Almost at 100K. Crazy. So that's a big. I think that's exactly what you said. Like that's a big difference. There's people know about PoE at this point. So if a promotion is good to just sort of blah, like maybe this promotion is blah for you, blah is okay. Because for some people it's good and some people it's blah, as long as it's not negative. Because negative would be really bad because everyone would hear about it, even if you're not actively playing PvE. You'd be like, what are they doing? You know, and drama. So I think it's to your point, that's what they're hoping for, right?
Yeah.
That it's, you know, and I understand why people are upset, and I am sorry. It's you would prefer to have Amazon Prime over not having it. I totally get it.
For sure.
For sure. I mean, maybe it's worth. I wonder if it's something where they'll take feedback and maybe there'll be Amazon Prime for your country in some way that lets you get some of these other, like you can get the video, you can get the things that are over the internet, not the physical aspects to Amazon Prime, right? Because that's for me here in America, at least, it's the free shipping. I have not been to a drugstore since the day I got Amazon Prime.
Like, I would enjoy the free shipping as well. Like there's so many because it's such a vast platform and free shipping on top. Wow, I would love that.
Yeah. So I mean, so if the physical aspect is the part that's stopping them from doing it, hopefully maybe you can have Amazon Prime Junior or something. Where it's just the internet aspect or something like that. I mean, first of all, let me just say, I don't know how I mean, it's only old people. Really, is the only way. Like there here in New York City, it's a CVS and Duane Reade are the two where you get like deodorant and shampoo and stuff like toothbrushes, whatever. Like I said, I buy all that stuff from Amazon, and it's cheaper and it's free than going to one of those stores. Like there's zero reason to go to one of those stores unless there's an emergency. Like I'm bleeding out my butt, so I need to go to the store to get someone to fix that. There's no reason, as long as you can plan 5 days ahead. There's no reason. So anyway, I'm hoping that they give people some options, because I do think that it's cool to have the promotion, and I don't know, I felt bad for the people who are in countries that could get it, and they're like, oh well, it's just not offered. Oh, all right. So anyway, so I think that's it.
I think so too.
Yeah, we had a very nice long chat. I want to say, for anyone who's watching, we have been doing a very good job. Oh, I want to apologize. I did have some stuff I had to do Monday of last week, and I did Ziz AMA, so that's why the podcast was uploaded late last week. So I want to apologize. Like at 3 p.m. or so, 3:30 or something like that.
On that note, the podcast I uploaded to YouTube was also late because
that's true, because I looked in the morning and it wasn't
the entire file was corrupted, and I tried my hardest to fix it. It took many hours, and then I ended up just uploading the Twitch one instead.
It's interesting because I usually listen to the first 5 minutes or like 2 minutes after I convert the file, and it's so funny, we hadn't talked about it. I was listening, I was like, I guess maybe I should turn my mic up because the sound was different, and I was like, that's okay. Because so hopefully that doesn't happen again. It's the first time in all of them where the file has been corrupted. Yeah. Well, that's just computers. Yeah. I mean, we're using free, right? You're recording with OBS, right?
Yes, I am.
So I mean, well, you can't complain. It's a free program, right? Some stuff breaks. I've had stuff break. So anyway, but basically tomorrow it'll be uploaded. The coffeetalkpodcast.com. You can subscribe. You can whatever. And that's it. We will see you next week.
See you next week.